A person reborn of water and spirit. What is the difference amongst a person with the spirit of life, a person of flesh, and a person who is reborn? God's breath of life entered the person made from dust and he became a person with the spirit of life. This is the first person, Adam. Adam, who was a person with the spirit of life, ate the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil that the snake gave and returned to flesh and dust. Jesus planted God's seed in people of flesh and made them into new people who are reborn. These people who are reborn will become people with spirit of life at the time of the first resurrection, just like Jesus. When Adam was summoned with the spirit of life, he felt no shame even though he was naked. However, when he was unclothed from the spirit of life and became flesh, he realized his nakedness and hid from shame. Adam, who had the spirit of life but returned to flesh from eating the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil the snake gave, eventually died and returned to dust. Since the time Adam sinned until now, all people became flesh, died, and returned to dust just like Adam. However, people of flesh who receive God's seed and are reborn became new creations that do not return to dust, but resurrect from their flesh and enter heaven. These people are those who are harvested and sealed after the events of betrayal and destruction. God's purpose is for people who return to flesh and dust as a result of sin to become people with the spirit of life again. This is the work of restoration. God's seed is the word of life, and the breath of life he gave to people of dust is also the word of life. When the breath of life, which is the seed of the word of life, enters a person of flesh, that person becomes someone with the spirit of life. This is someone who is restored through recreation. Just like a person is made when a sperm with life enters an egg, a person with the spirit of life is made when the breath of life, like the sperm, enters a person who is like an egg. This is why Paul said, "We do not wish to be unclothed, but to be clothed." Mankind was unclothed with the spirit of life since Adam's time, but now is the time to be clothed. Since God and Jesus are the Word from the beginning, God's seed and Jesus' blood are also words of life. Since the time of Adam's betrayal, people in this world and the devil have been enemies we cannot trust. The words of promise God is trying to fulfill are the secrets of the kingdom of heaven that have been sealed and hidden in parables. Therefore, no one can know the Old Testament or the New Testament. But when the time came, God revealed the secrets that he had sealed to the promised pastor and commanded him to make them known. Therefore, knowing God, Jesus, and the promised pastor is the road to eternal life. God's purpose of working is to restore the earth to its original form. Since the time of Adam to the time of Revelation's fulfillment, the devil and people need to come to an end, and only those who are born of God's seed can live with God in the paradise of heaven for eternity. At that time, the first heaven, the first earth, and the sea come to an end, and the new heaven and new earth are recreated, which is the creation of the new work. This recreation is God's will, and at this time, only God's family who are born of God's seed can live in heaven. These people who are born of God's seed are the new creations of the new heaven and new earth who are recreated. They are God's family. At that time, we must be clothed with the spirit of life that Adam unclothed, and our flesh must be resurrected into a spirit of life.